So in one of my previous videos, I talked about the double 9 to 5 framework, in which I go to sleep from 9 p.m. and wake up at 5 a.m. and I work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I wanted to talk about how I actually get myself to bed by 9 p.m. so that way I can actually wake up at 5 a.m. Because a lot of the times it's easier said than done. So there's a lot of benefits to getting good sleep. One of the primary reasons we actually need to sleep is because while we are moving around active during our day-to-day, there are many things that the body cannot do in order to recover and rebuild itself. So throughout my life, I've been cursed with insomnia. I've never been able to just climb into bed and fall asleep. My parents always told me of stories when I was little when I just wouldn't fall asleep no matter what they would do, and this would cause them many sleepless nights, and they suffered because of it. I myself found this to be true when I noticed the pattern in my sleep when I would climb into bed and not fall asleep for a couple of hours, just staring into the ceiling, not really knowing when I'm actually going to fall asleep. Thus, I decided to give evening rituals a try. And I didn't get it quite right at first. I had to kind of change things up a bit and tweak it until I got it to the way that it is right now. And not to say it's perfect right now, it'll probably change even a little bit into the future, but it's pretty good. I can now fall into sleep in about 15 minutes, which is a lot better than hours from beforehand, so I'll take it. So, let's get right into it. Here is my evening ritual that ends my day with full closure, step by step. Step 1. Surrender my phone and laptop for the night. The reason this is important is because I need to cut off my access to the rest of the world. There will always be new notifications coming in no matter what time of day it is, and unless you put a stop to checking them, it's always going to be keeping you up 1 minute later and 1 minute later, and you keep going, and those minutes really do add up. At some point, we're just going to have to ask our lovely friends and family to just wait and have patience until the next day. Be at peace knowing that you can fully unplug and the world's not going to fall apart. Because honestly, it's not. The way I like to think about this is in terms of what is important and what is urgent. Stephen Covey actually talks about this in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Something that is important contributes to our goals, whereas something that is urgent demands our immediate attention. Now, just because something is urgent does not mean it is important. It's very important to make that distinction right there. Unfortunately, the way that we've been wired with our phones and all our devices and everything is that every notification that comes in is considered urgent. But most of those notifications are probably not anywhere close to our definition of what is important. Anyway, so my cutoff initiates the remainder of my evening ritual. This is how I get started. Once I turn in my phone and turn in my laptop, there's no going back, and I can't touch those things until the next morning. Step 2. Preparing the morning basket. Alright, I have a confession to make. I don't actually have a basket where I place all these morning objects into, but the concept is there. So the way this concept works is I want to make sure that everything that I need for the next morning, I prepare it in advance. And the reason I do this is because I don't want there to be any surprises the next morning when I wake up. I want it to just be there, not missing. I don't want to fumble around when I wake up. If I do the preparation right the night before, then the next morning should be a breeze. This helps keep things predictable. In my case, here are the things that I like to prepare. A water bottle that is fully topped off, a set of workout clothes, and a set of just regular clothes. The key is to consistently do this and place them at the same place so that way you expect them to be there every single morning without fail. And that'll get you into the habit of doing it all the time so you just never miss. Step 3. Personal hygiene. Each day is an eventful one, and now it's time to clean yourself up. So for me, this involves doing my oral hygiene, taking a nice warm shower, and finally putting on my workout clothes before I go to bed. And the reason I put on my workout clothes is, I'll get to this in a later video when I talk about my morning routine, but that way the next morning when I get up, I can just be ready to go out and exercise whenever I'm ready to do so. So again, preparation. I do all the things the night before so that way the next morning, I'm all good to go. Step 4. Get cozy in bed with my iPad. I treat my iPad separately than my phone and my laptop. I treat it like a notebook. So I use my iPad to do things like journaling and deep work, whereas my phone is mostly used for answering calls, answering texts, socializing, notifications and all that kind of stuff. And my laptop is for more serious work, that kind of thing. And so The reason the iPad is perfect is because you kind of have like a little digital notebook where you can write down your reflections, your daily happenings, and everything like that. You don't need to get distracted with your phone, with your notifications and such, and you're also not doing anything that requires some serious cognitive ability. So it's a perfect in between. And I like to have that kind of separation of barriers between these kinds of devices, and it really helps me to isolate things the way that they should be. Step 5, record today's data. I keep what I like to call a personal scoreboard. I maintain a habit journal where I track all my habits on a daily basis to make sure whether or not I followed them or not. I also have a health journal where I will track the amount of food that I've consumed, as well as the amount of exercise that I've performed. And I also track my time. So I use my calendar in such a way that I predict how I'm going to spend the future time, but at the end of every day, I will also go back and retroactively edit it to say how exactly I actually spent my time. And so my calendar serves a dual purpose of future looking into how I'm going to predict how the time's going to be spent, as well as past looking to see how I actually spent my time. And this helps me keep myself honest in terms of, am I getting closer to my goals or am I getting farther away from my goals? In addition, I will also just do a brain dump, just get everything in my brain out because it's probably not going to be there by the next day. This is a principle called the capture habit, made famous by David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done. Now on to step 6. This is when I plan the next day. Now remember what I said about my calendar being both a tool for past referencing and future predicting? This is when I predict the future. Actually, I don't have ESP. I just use it to plan how I want to spend my time in the future. It might not actually turn out that way. In fact, usually every day at the end of the night, I will always retroactively edit how I actually spent my time and make quite a few adjustments. I'll also jot down any to-dos that I have to do tomorrow that I can't do right now, so that way I don't forget. Step 7, express gratitude. What am I thankful for today? We often take so many aspects of life for granted. This is just a way for me to remind myself and stay grounded in all the things that we have to be thankful for. Since I'm a Christian, for me, this involves saying a prayer to God and giving thanks to Him. Regardless of your beliefs though, there is scientific evidence to suggest that those who give gratitude experience higher levels of happiness. So, you can't really lose. Step 8, journal. This step is very free flow for me. I don't restrict myself in any way whatsoever. I can write about anything that I want. If I want to talk about today, fine. If I want to talk about a few days ago, that's also okay. Or if I'm excited about the coming days, I can also talk about that as well. Writing is structured thinking. So this is a time for me to get my thoughts down onto paper, or my iPad really, and just write anything I want. Be creative in whatever way that I feel. And finally, we have step 9, which is to sleep. It's not easy getting through the day, and to make it to this point is truly an accomplishment. I've done everything that I needed to take care of before the night ends. I've closed out my day completely. I can sleep in peace knowing that nothing is unaccounted for. Beauty sleep. These are the 9 active steps that I perform every day on a nightly basis. There are some additional things that I do in the background that are passive that help me better keep to my evening ritual. So think of it kind of like a bonus extra credit section. I actually use home automation in the background to make it easier for me to stick to my evening ritual. So 2 things that I do. The first thing is I have my lights in my bedroom turn off at 9 p.m. and turn back on at 5 a.m. every day in the morning. And the second thing I do is I have my router turn off internet for my devices also at 9 p.m. and return them back on at 5 a.m. The reason I do this is because these are less things that I need to do and less things that I need to worry about, so it makes it easier for me to stick with the evening ritual. For example, having the lights turn off at 9 p.m. automatically is just, hey, reminder, lights are out, you can't turn them back on anymore, just sleep. I mean, technically I could stay awake, but if the lights are out, chances are I'll probably fall asleep. And the second thing is with the internet. If I continue to leave the internet on, chances are I might just keep doom scrolling and doom scrolling and doom scrolling without any end. But if the internet's off, chances are I will also just fall asleep because there's nothing left for me to do. Well, technically, again, I could stay awake just without the lights and without the internet, but I imagine I'd rather sleep anyway at that point. And there you have it. That is my full evening ritual listed out step by step, along with some bonus steps at the end. that keep me grounded on a consistent basis. I am a huge fan of evening rituals. I believe everyone should have one. The benefits are just too good to give up on. Having this kind of consistent schedule just makes your life a lot better and a lot more predictable in many ways. It takes the huge burden of me every night having to think about, oh, what do I need to do before I go to sleep? Now it's all taken care of. It's kind of all automated. I just kind of do these steps on my own. Thanks again for tuning into this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below whether or not you liked it. Maybe let me know what else you'd like to see in the future. If you felt like this video was too much to digest, don't worry. I actually wrote down all these steps in a blog post of mine. Just head over to jerry.blog and you will see my blog post regarding this video, as well as other things that I like to talk about as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing as well. I'll see you next time.